What if I told you that you could use MASV to transfer files directly to and from your network attached storage with just a few clicks? Today, we're diving into the latest in MASV integration. MASV and OpenDrives have teamed up to streamline file transfers by building MASV Agent directly into their platform. OpenDrives is a high-performance storage platform that specializes in media and entertainment workflows. It's specifically designed for handling massive media files with exceptional speed, reliability, and ease of use. It empowers creative teams to collaborate efficiently without bottlenecks or technical hurdles. I sat down with James DiVito, VP of Product and Solutions, and Solution Architect Roger Beck to give us the inside scoop on how this integration came to life. Roger and James, thank you so much for joining me today. I'd love to hear a bit about the story behind OpenDrives. How did it get started and what challenges were you originally trying to solve?
Our original founders, including an individual named Jeff Brew, who was at the time David Fincher's chief senior engineer, they were looking for media solutions to solve their needs for post-production. The 4K was coming out big at the time. So this was around 2011, and a couple of years after that, 4K was all the talk. And they looked around. A lot of the storage solutions that were out there were just not performant enough or just way too expensive or complex. So Jeff and the other peer co-founders built their own. And word started getting out on the street. People started asking, hey, can you make me one of those systems that you were building? And then they just had an idea, you know what? I think this is a product. So at that point, started making more, productized it, and started OpenDrives as we see it today.
What sets OpenDrives apart from other storage providers in the media and entertainment space?
Yeah, I would say it is the fact that we focus on media. It's where we come from. It's in our blood, is what I often heard said around here, is that we want to solve those problems. We were the ones that were up super late at night, getting deliverables done, rendering, cutting these things, knowing that we had theatrical releases and or delivery deadlines. And so to continue to this day, having that language, having that speaking, not IOPS, but EXR, DPX, different kind of codecs, and having that in our blood and understanding these workflows are what continues to drive our employees and everyone we hire. We talk to about their media background.
Integrations can sometimes be tricky. Could you share some challenges you faced when integrating MASV Agent into your Atlas platform?
When we got to the agent from MASV, the nice part was actually that MASV maintains the Docker containerization. Because we love Docker containerization, it aligns actually with the future of OpenDrives with microservices. And it decouples application upgrades from our software upgrades. And so it's very documented, your agent, which is very nice. We stumble across small stones. We overcome it by reaching out to your support, to your service. And what we do is we just don't take the Docker container and give it to our customers. We build a recipe around, which makes it easier for the customer to digest without actually having any knowledge of Docker or Kubernetes. It helps the customer to enter just security, ID, and the path, and deploy a MASV agent in a couple of seconds, less than a minute, to have a full setup running, agent running, and without touching the command line.
And that ease of use component that you mentioned is a significant driver for OpenDrives. Coming from that media background and focusing on media, we want to keep creatives creative. And so by having what you had mentioned earlier about integrations with lots of steps and all that, it makes it untenable. It makes it for people who have multiple hats within the organizations hesitant to move forward with those integrations. This is click, fill in a couple spots, press the button, you're off to the races to enable all the creatives.
So file transfers can sometimes tie up a workstation completely. Why is it important to integrate file transfer capabilities directly into a storage solution rather than just relying on connected workstations?
By bringing the application closer to the storage, it removes any additional layers. Like you mentioned the client, you do not need a dedicated client, you do not need a network protocol, NFS, SMB, and you increase the performance because you have native access to the storage. And those applications would be very beneficial for outside broadcasting bands like OB bands. Where real estate is very important. So you can forget a dedicated client. It's embedded, you're having faster performance, and you're saving real estate as one example.
James, could you explain how the performance of OpenDrives enhances the reliability and efficiency of transferring massive media files?
The nature, I think the design of OpenDrives, where we are very flash first, using the highest performance tiers of the system, and then relying on the slower tiers like the HDD storage for more of the capacity, really blends well with the massive agent. When we first were doing testing, or when I was doing some testing with the agent and the work that Roger had done, we do a lot of our development through VMs, so the infrastructure and the actual production stuff isn't there. Uh, so I saw, some good performance, some good ease of use for deployment. The real kicker was when we did a test together on a real production system that we have in the lab, and it flew. Combination of massive and the OpenDrive system really pushes that bottleneck to the WAN connection. I think that'll always be the limitation. And so the fact that we have a flash first design methodology leveraging HDD just for more of the capacity aspect, and a lot of these very um, aggressive and or the prefetching algorithms that we design as well are designed for these high speed sequential high throughput transfers. So the combination of working together really allows that absorption or transfer out into the system or from the system very cleanly.
So the file system underneath OpenDrive is using is a checksum-based file system. It's not just the rate, it's software-defined. And what it means is that we have a checksum of everything. So if a client now requests a block and there's something corrupted due to a signal error, bit rot, it will be corrected, written down to the level of the file system, and handed to the client. So the kind of silent data corruption doesn't occur. In addition, we do have snapshots. Visualize it like Time Machine on Mac, but just in a blink of an eye, you have a snapshot of everything, and it doesn't have any performance impact. And mentioned before that we come from media entertainment, the IP of a customer is of utmost important. We are the file system, we are the core of everything. We cannot lose a bit. And those technologies help us actually to keep data safe, secure, and even like a backup mechanism behind.
How does the OpenDrives file system maintain data integrity during high volume, high speed transfers? And what ensures consistent performance when multiple editors are accessing large 4K files? Would they see any type of performance hit?
That's a very good question. As James mentioned before and hinted to our cache, our primary focus is to reduce latency. And we do it by managing the cache. We kind of have found a way to kind of really work out on the cache side, taking the content in from the ingesting clients, from the massive transfer, and syncing it to the storage when there's not a peak time. At the same time, a different algorithm goes out, reads the data from the requesting client, which you mentioned, the 4K client, and we do a lot of aggressive prefetching, meaning we go out and read the next block before and after in the hope that you will need it. So if your editor is hitting play, the asset or the blocks already come from memory and no longer from disk. So we try always to be a step ahead. And if the first block was successful, the next block we read more blocks and more blocks to be really aggressive and be predictive.
OpenDrives has evolved significantly since it began. How have you adapted to meet the growing demands of film and post-production over the years?
We're in a new era, a new space. AI is being thrown around everywhere. And a lot of people are trying to figure out what that means, what it means per industry, and what it means for them. Independent of AI specific use cases, there really is a need to drive and find better with more rich metadata. It's, to me, the future's about the data services, the rich metadata. So not just, here's the file, here's some information, or here's some XMP headers. We're seeing a lot more of, I want to be able to search on what someone said or who's in the content, or how can I access the past 5 years of this type of data with this feel or this look. And I think that is the next phase in what creatives will be looking for, to where they can go in what they're seeing with some of these early ChatGPT AIs and so forth, and just kind of type in some feelings or some keywords and not have to filter through tons and tons of search results that aren't aligned to their intent.
Roger, something you mentioned earlier really resonates with Massive's philosophy: removing friction from workflows. I really appreciate how the Atlas platform allows even editors that aren't necessarily familiar with IT to easily manage complex file transfers. That simplicity is incredibly powerful.
The portals aspect of MASV, that was a big one to me, and that with just a couple click of a button, boom, there you go. There's a portal for anybody to interact with and drag and drop content and send it to the portal itself or automatically download it to the OpenDrive system. A lot of the conversations I'm having these days are about hybrid solutions, hybrid workspaces. It's no longer on-prem, it's no longer fully remote. It's a blend. You've got some employees outside, some internal, and just being able to have this portal just to drag and drop, dump it, and it's off to the races in a matter of. We saw some transfers in seconds that blew my mind to where I thought it was broken or there was something wrong with the HTTP connection, and then I double checked on the OpenDrive system, like, oh, it's already there. We had 4 gigs transfer in a couple of seconds. That was an ease of use component that even shocked me, and I think that'll be something that our joint customers will take advantage of significantly.
Given the rise of distributed teams and remote collaboration, how crucial will storage performance be over the next few years?
It's a very good one. And I think if you would have asked me this 15 years ago, it would be the same answer. Right? Because while we create better storage, kind of SSDs, NVMEs, right? Limitless performance on the storage side, if it's possible, you have other layers in between, you have the internet in between. So we get used to working remotely. Many people would love to continue remotely. So you have to push the content through 1 or 2 an edge somewhere, as James mentioned. But you cannot, if you, for example, post-production color grading, you cannot push petabytes through the cloud. You can, but it will be slow, it will be expensive. It doesn't make sense. So you need a way to access the machine another way. And by doing so, you have, I think, nowadays 3, probably 4 different workflows nowadays. One's going to be on-premise, one is completely in the cloud, where you spin up VDIs. And then comes the hybrid workflow, where in the cloud, the older stuff maybe, and the current stuff with the high performance on-premise. And because we tend to, especially in M&E, push the limits, push the edge of kind of what can be done. 4K was a yesterday thing. We have 6K, we have 8K. We're thinking about 16K. We're thinking higher. We're thinking kind of 32-bit. So let's see when 64-bit comes, because then we have a range. The colorists would love to kind of have more color, more depth to do it. I think technology-wise, we always play catch-up. Because there's some tool out doing 8K, for example, stereoscopic. No workstation can handle that performance right now. So we need new algorithms, we need new technologies, new softwares which can lossless compression even further down. So you can enjoy the experience, you can engage and emerge.
Roger, James, thank you so much for your time today. It was great to talk workflow, massive integrations, and the innovation behind OpenDrives. Before we wrap up, when is the massive and OpenDrives integration going to be available?
The massive agent is actually bundled with the Atlas 2.10 release, which comes out on March 31st, and it's there for anybody to quickly deploy and start using immediately.
Thanks for watching. If you want to try this integration firsthand, sign up for Massive today and get 10 gigabytes of data for free every month. Until next time.